It was supposed to be a quiet weekend away. There were 4 of us, me, my girlfriend Rachel, and our 2 friends Mike and Tasha. We booked a remote campground up in the Smoky Mountains, the kind of place where your phone loses signal about 10 minutes into the drive. That was part of the appeal. No work emails, no notifications, just trees, stars, and s'mores. The campsite was right next to a small lake. It wasn't on any public maps, which was strange, but the guy who owned the land said it had been private property for generations. Locals call it Stillwater, he told us, because the surface never moves, not even in the wind. That should have been our first red flag. The first night was uneventful. We set up our tents, cooked over the fire, and told stupid stories until we passed out in our sleeping bags. The lake really was unnervingly still though. No ripples, no bugs skimming the surface, just a flat, black mirror. The next morning, we noticed something odd. Someone had left wet footprints near our tents. They were small, barefoot, and they led from the edge of the lake to the back of Rachel and my tent, then stopped. No return prints, no other tracks, just a trail of dripping nothingness ending behind where we slept. Mike laughed it off. Probably raccoons, maybe forest elves. But Rachel didn't laugh. "Those are human," she said. "Look at the toes." She was right. 5 distinct toes, narrow heel, child-sized. I tried to shake it off. We were far from any houses or roads. Maybe someone had wandered through at night. A lost hiker. Some curious kid from a nearby cabin. Still, I didn't like the way Rachel kept glancing at the water. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay awake listening to the silence. Not peaceful silence. Heavy silence. The kind that presses on your ears and makes you feel like something's waiting. And then, at 3:17 a.m., we heard it. Screaming. From the lake. At first, it sounded like an animal. High-pitched, garbled. But then it grew louder, closer, and we realized it wasn't an animal. It was a woman, screaming words we couldn't understand. Garbled, wet, choked. Tasha sat bolt upright in her tent. "Did you hear that?" Rachel was already unzipping our tent. "We need to leave." We scrambled out, grabbing flashlights and keys. The forest was thick with mist, but we could still see the lake, black and silent as ever. No ripples, no movement. But we could hear her, still screaming, not from the water now, from the woods, and closer. We ran. We didn't pack, didn't grab food, water, or our gear. Just our phones, car keys, and flashlights. The screaming followed us as we bolted down the narrow trail leading back toward the gravel access road. Only it wasn't just screaming anymore. There were footsteps in the woods, not behind us, beside us. Running parallel, just out of sight. Twigs snapped. Leaves rustled. Something, or someone, was matching our speed. Tasha tripped and fell hard. Mike scooped her up like she weighed nothing, his face white with fear. "Keep going," he shouted. And then the screaming stopped. Dead silence. No footsteps, no breathing, just that awful, suffocating quiet again. Rachel shone her flashlight toward the woods and caught a glimpse of something. A face, half submerged behind a tree. Pale, dripping. Eyes wide open but wrong, like they weren't even focusing. The mouth was open, but no sound came out anymore. She screamed and grabbed my arm. "She's watching us." We didn't stop running until we reached the car. Mike hit the fob, doors unlocked. We all piled in. He didn't even wait for the engine to finish turning over before slamming it into reverse and flooring it. The tires kicked up gravel as we tore out of there. We drove until sunrise without stopping. Finally reached a town with a gas station and cell service. Called the cops. Filed a report. They said they'd send a ranger to check the site. Later that day, we got a call back. The ranger said they didn't find any signs of people. No tents, no equipment, nothing. Like no one had ever camped there. I asked if they checked by the lake. The ranger went quiet, then asked me to repeat myself. "What lake?" he said. "The lake we camped next to." He paused again. "There's no lake up there. Hasn't been one for decades. Dried out back in the 80s. I remember going pale. Rachel grabbed my phone, looked up satellite images of the area. No water, no shoreline, just trees. But we were there. I saw it. Stillwater Lake. And as we stared at the screen, our phone notifications came flooding in now that we had service again. One of them was a voicemail. Timestamp 3:17 a.m. Just breathing. Wet, slow, labored breathing. And a child's voice whispering something beneath it. 5 words. Words that still echo in my head sometimes when it's too quiet. Don't leave us behind again. I was 17 when my older brother Josh suggested we go on a camping trip. Just the two of us. We'd never been particularly close, but I always looked up to him. He was the cool older brother type. The one who knew how to start fires with nothing, navigate by stars, and catch fish with his hands. He had just come back from the army after 3 years deployed overseas, and I was about to leave for college. He said he wanted to do something man-to-man before I left. I figured it was my chance to finally connect with him. We headed to the Shoshone National Forest in Wyoming. He picked an old trail he remembered from his teenage years. It leads to an old fire watchtower, he said. Nobody goes out there anymore. You'll love it. We packed light. Tent, food, flashlight, the basics, and hit the trail. He said we'd make it to the tower by day 2, spend the night, and head back the next morning. The first day was uneventful. We hiked, joked around, set up camp in a clearing, and built a fire. He told some stories from his deployment. I tried to act cool, like it didn't scare me, even when he casually mentioned landmines or guys getting lost in the desert. He seemed calm, too calm. Every now and then, he'd pause mid-sentence and stare into the trees. Just listen, like he was waiting for something. That night, we slept under the stars. The next day, around mid-afternoon, we reached the tower. It looked exactly like you'd imagine. Old, wooden, forgotten by time. Vines wrapped around the lower half, and the steps creaked dangerously as we climbed. But the view from the top, unbelievable. Forest in every direction. No roads, no cabins, just trees and mountains. Josh stared out at the horizon for a long time. This place always felt older than time, he said. We made dinner as the sun set. It got cold quickly. I was zipping up my sleeping bag when Josh spoke again, his voice quiet. "You ever see a light in the trees?" he asked. I turned to him. "What?" "A light. It doesn't flicker, doesn't move like a flashlight, just floats silently." I thought he was messing with me. I laughed. He didn't. "If you see it," he said, "don't follow it, no matter what." I nodded, thought he was trying to spook me. I woke up around 2:30 a.m. Something felt off. The air was ice cold. I pulled on my jacket and stepped toward the window. That's when I saw it. A light in the trees. Not yellow like a lantern or warm like a campfire. White, sterile, like a hospital hallway. And it wasn't moving like a flashlight beam. It was gliding, floating. I looked for Josh. His sleeping bag was empty. I climbed down the tower steps. His backpack was still there. The fire had died. I turned in a slow circle, my flashlight cutting through the darkness. I called out his name. Then I saw something move. A figure, tall, pale, just out of range of the light. I moved toward it. It moved back. Then I saw the light again, further ahead. And like an idiot, I followed it. The forest swallowed me. I didn't even realize how far I'd gone until I stopped and looked around. I was alone, totally alone. No tower, no trail, no Josh, just me, my flashlight, and that cold white light, now completely gone. I pulled out my compass. The needle spun wildly. I was completely lost. Panic settled in fast. The forest looked different now, denser, darker. I tried walking in a straight line, picking landmarks as I'd been taught, but everything blended together. Every tree looked the same. The shadows moved when I wasn't looking. My breath came in short gasps. My flashlight flickered. I banged it against my leg. Still worked, but barely. Then, silence. So complete it hurt my ears. No wind, no animals, just the sound of my own heart pounding. Then the light returned. Same one, same spotty movement, drifting ahead, about 20 feet away, perfectly still when I looked straight at it. But it was closer now, and there was someone standing beneath it. Not Josh. Taller, narrower, wearing something pale that seemed to glow in the dark. I called out, thinking maybe, just maybe, they could help. The figure turned slowly. It had a face, but not a normal one. Pale, smooth skin, no mouth, and two deep hollows where eyes should have been. My legs locked. The light pulsed once, and I heard it. Not aloud, not in the forest. Inside my head. You came. Now, ETN, go. I dropped to my knees. My skull rang like a bell. The world vibrated. I tasted metal. And then, nothing. No light. No voice. Just black. When I came to, the sun was rising. Birds were chirping. Wind rustled the leaves. I was back at the fire tower, lying beside the fire pit. Josh was there, asleep in his bag, just like before. I stared at him, half afraid he wasn't real. But he opened his eyes, yawned, and stretched. I said, I saw it, the light, and something inside it. He didn't even look at me, just said, good, that means it's satisfied. We packed up and left that morning. He didn't speak the whole way back. I never saw Josh again after that trip. A few months later, he disappeared. No note, no calls. His phone was disconnected. Police opened a missing persons case, never found him. Not even a trace. But I know the truth. He didn't go missing. He was taken. And whatever that thing was, it used me to replace him. Sometimes I still see the light, far off through the trees behind my apartment. I lock the windows, draw the blinds, and pray it never comes for me again. Story 3. The man in the tent beside us. My boyfriend and I are the kind of people who love quiet. No phones, no notifications, no news, just us, a fire, and the sound of wind through the trees. We go camping every year, always finding more remote locations. That summer, we found a spot in the northern Rockies that promised total isolation. It was a hike in sight, no road access. We parked miles away, then carried our gear down a poorly marked trail for hours. The forest was dense, and it felt like we were stepping deeper and deeper into a world that didn't want us there. By the time we found the clearing, the sun was already dipping. The site was perfect. A flat spot for the tent, a small ring of stones for a fire pit, and a gentle creek nearby. We set up camp, made dinner, and watched the sky turn to velvet. That night, we were just getting into our sleeping bags when we heard it, sipping, like a tent being closed. We both froze. My boyfriend, Sam, whispered, "Did you hear that?" I nodded. He turned off our lantern. We listened. At first, silence. Then, footsteps. Slow, deliberate, just outside our tent. Sam reached for his knife. We waited. Whoever it was, they walked right past our tent and kept going. The next morning, we searched the area. About 30 feet away, hidden between trees, was a second tent. It hadn't been there when we arrived. It was small, old and dirty, like it hadn't been cleaned in years. But there was a fresh pack of food outside. Someone was living in it. We didn't hear anyone come or go. There were no boot prints, no tracks, nothing. Sam wanted to leave, but I convinced him to stay one more night. Maybe someone else had just arrived late. That night, we built the fire bigger. We kept a flashlight nearby. And when we went to bed, Sam held my hand until I fell asleep. I woke up hours later to the sound of breathing. Not mine, not Sam's. Outside. Low, wet, right by the tent wall. Then came a sound I'll never forget. A finger dragging slowly across the nylon. Just one. From one side of my head to the other. I screamed. Sam bolted upright, unzipping the tent in one motion and jumping out, knife in hand. Nothing. The forest was still, cold, empty. The second tent was still there. Sam marched toward it. "Don't," I said, but he was already pulling open the zipper. It was empty. No sleeping bag, no clothes, just dirt. And in the center, carved into the floor with something sharp, were words. Mine. We packed in silence that morning. Neither of us said it, but we both knew we weren't staying another night. Sam buried the fire, rolled the tent, and kept glancing toward the woods like he expected someone, or something, to come running through the trees at any moment. As we were about to leave, we turned once more toward the second tent. It was gone. Not collapsed, not packed up. Gone. No fabric, no rope, no trace, just pine needles, like it had never been there. We hiked out fast, taking half the time it took us to get in. We didn't speak the entire walk, but the story doesn't end there. A few days later, we were back home, clean, safe, or so we thought. Sam was going through our gear, trying to air everything out in the backyard. He called me outside. "Did you pack this?" he asked. It was a photograph. Old, curled edges, black and white. It showed a forest clearing. 2 tents. One of them was ours. The other, the dirty one, stood right beside it. But that wasn't what made my blood run cold. There was a man standing between the tents. His face was off, unfocused, like a smear. But I recognized his jacket. It was Sam's. And he was holding something. A knife. Sam swore he'd never seen the photo before. We burned it. But that night, I couldn't sleep. I kept hearing sounds from outside. I thought I saw movement near the trees. And when I finally drifted off, I had a dream. I was in that forest again, standing between the tents, and the man was there, just a few feet away. Only now, he had no face at all. He leaned close, and in that awful, wet whisper I'll never forget, said, "You shouldn't have seen me." I woke up screaming. The next morning, Sam was gone. His keys, his phone, his shoes, still by the door, but he was nowhere in the house, nowhere in the neighborhood. His car was still in the driveway. The back door was open. We searched for weeks. Flyers, police reports, nothing. Just gone. Like he'd been erased. And a week later, I got a package in the mail. No return address. Inside was a photo. A black and white picture of a forest. One tent. Just one. And outside of it, facing the camera, was a man. Wearing my hoodie. Holding my hand. Smiling. But I don't remember ever being there. And I've never been camping since.